We are back in the locker room with Billy Schweim here on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's always a tough follow the PT show, but I got Scotty McKay in the house to help me do that. Welcome to the locker room there, Scooter.
It's another nice Saturday afternoon here, or
morning? Morning. It's a morning. So you don't sleep, so you don't know what time it is. You're nocturnal, right?
I sleep at 3 o'clock.
The guy goes to sleep at 3 o'clock. No wonder why he's got no energy for the show.
Oh, come on.
You're like snoring and stuff.
The energy up to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Little high strung, eh, Scooter?
Oh my God! Listen,
I'm pumped up, man.
Me too.
I'm always pumped up, and I'm really pumped up.
Well, at least we didn't have to drive white knuckle the whole way to the shore today. We weren't doing 95.
Well, the fact that I have to go like half an hour out of my way to pick you up,
5 minutes,
right? I got to carry you on the radio. I got to drive you and drive you to the studio, take you home.
Do we just read the same script every time you
do it? We do this every week.
It's the same.
I didn't do it last week because he wasn't here.
My challenge to you guys: the next time you're on together, can you come up with a new shtick?
All right.
I don't know, man. We've been doing this for like 40 years. Right. And Josh, speak when you're spoken to. Welcome. I got my producer, Josh. Right. I'm going to introduce you. Josh, welcome aboard, Josh.
How you doing, Bill?
He jumped the gun, man. So how about I did start off the show when I was finishing the show with PT. Hunter Brody was working in the press box. The press, it's not even a box. For basketball, the press room is right on the floor. Those guys are right behind, underneath the basket. And so you can see, so I saw Hunter in his natural habitat. All his hair was parted to the side, clean cut, looking good. Didn't crack one smile. He had like a pullover jacket, not a coat, like a suit coat, but like a sweat type of thing. He looked good.
Yeah.
Didn't smile. Looked like he was intense.
Oh,
it was
trying to act professional.
Trying to act professional.
That's what Pete spelled, by the way. But yeah, that's good. Well, he is.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, we got a great show lined up today. I'm glad Scooter McKay's in the house. He's a hockey guy. Of course, you're speaking of being a hockey guy. You're Cherokee Chiefs. You guys are playing for the championship again. Scooter's the head coach of the Cherokee High School hockey team. How about you, Scooter?
Yeah, we're back. Unbelievably, we had a tough season this year, but we're back in the championship Monday night, 6:50 at the Skate Zone in Vormir.
This just goes to prove that you don't have to be a good hockey player to be a good coach.
Well, it proves you have to be a good coach to go to the championship 10 out of 11 years, right?
Because you didn't go into the corners, you wouldn't screen the goal, and every goal you scored went off your head or your rear end.
Scorers go in the slot. Guys that can't score go in the corner. So thanks for going in the corner for me.
If it wasn't for the guys going in the corners, the guys in the slot wouldn't score.
You're right. That's why
it goes hand in hand.
Assist is worth just as much as a goal.
So Scooter, you got a pretty good run going on here for your hockey team.
We since 2010, we've been in the championship every year except for 2015, and we've won it 6 times, and this will be our 10th out of the last 11 years. So we've got a nice little New England Patriot dynasty going on in some senses, but they're not easy to win, man. The ones we've won have been tight. Some have been overtime, and we have to beat Eastern High School 2 games in a row because we slipped in the playoffs at one point to them. But
well, you know what it takes to win. Especially coaching young men. And we're going to talk today to a great get we have. Mike Eruzuione, the captain of the 1980 gold medal ice hockey team, the Olympic team, is going to be joining us at 10:30 today.
Tremendous
from
get.
Winthrop,
Your
Massachusetts.
best get.
Do you know? No, it's
your
look,
best
he's a
get.
great get. Don't get me wrong. He's a great get. But I've had Joe Namath on this show. I've had Rich Gannon on this show.
Yeah,
I've had Dick Vermeil on this show.
Mike Eruzuione doesn't.
Come on, the Schweiner just keeps putting them out, pumping them out. All right? Now Josh is going to jump in.
What Scooter is trying to say is it's a great get who doesn't have personal, emotional, specific relevance to you and you alone.
Right.
Well, wait a second.
Exactly.
Wait a second. There are a lot of people that love Dick Vermeil. There are a lot of people that idolize Joe Namath. What are you guys talking about? That's just me.
But Bill,
listen.
Outside of you and your brother, there's an entire generation of people who do not love Joe Namath and Dick Vermeil.
Well, that's why
and Bobby do.
That's why you have to listen to the locker room with Billy Schweim, because I'm going to enlighten you. All right?
Mike Eruzuione has cross-generational, cultural, people impact.
Now, I love Dick Vermeil, and I love Joe Namath, obviously for what they did, but no one can say that their moment was the top one in the 20th century.
That is
sports
true.
moment
That is true.
ever. And
Ever.
The Miracle on Ice is bigger than the Jets Super Bowl. It's bigger
No
than
doubt.
Dick Vermeil winning a Super
It was
Bowl.
ranked the #1 sports moment in the 20th
I'm
century.
with Scooter. This is the biggest.
And guess what?
Yeah.
Guess
This
what?
is
We're not
big.
gonna obviously live out the 21st century, but it's probably it's gonna be take a lot to beat that.
For the young millennials today, the 20th century is the 1900s.
Right,
So that
right.
they know that because some
Yeah,
of them weren't
they
born.
they
yet.
probably don't know that.
A lot of my players weren't born.
That's why you make him.
Wow,
sit
they
down and
weren't
watch the
born in
Miracle
1980.
movie.
You're right.
A lot of my players weren't born
Right.
in the 20th
In
century.
the 20s. Oh, that's,
Most of my
that's
players
right. It's
were born
2020
2002 and on.
already. Oh
That's
my
why we have a
God.
movie. You make him sit down and
That's
watch
right.
it.
Exactly.
So we got so Mike Eruzuione, very excited to have him on. And then in the second hour, we're going to talk with Randy Lurch, former Philadelphia Philly, who had a pretty good career with the Phils in the late 70s, early 80s. And then, of course, after he got out of baseball, things happened to him. He's been fighting alcoholism and drug abuse. That was a pretty wild time in the 70s. You know,
Oh, yeah.
this methamphetamine scandal, and there's always, those players, Scooter, in the limelight, playing at a high level. I guess when you're at that, people try to influence you to do things, and then all these outside distractions come in to play. Right? It's tough to say no.
Hey, and a lot of people don't, who remember Randy Lurch. He was 20 when he made it to the big leagues. Not drafted.
No.
He made it in the big leagues when he was 20. Listen, Chase Utley didn't make it until he was 25, and ended up becoming one of the best players in the Philadelphia history of sports. But Randy made it 20, and you at 20, you're still a kid. You're still learning, and to have someone that might be a veteran influence you in a certain way, and you think, well, maybe that's the right thing to do. It's tough, and then they get money.
Yeah, and then they get money. Great point, Scooter. And so in preparation for both interviews, I got a chance to talk to Mike and Randy during the week, and both guys, great guys. I mean, I said to Mike, and I'll say it before we get him on. I said this last week. Every time I watch that Miracle, and I watched it probably 3 times over the last two or 3 weeks. Not the whole thing, but if I was clicking around the channels and I
Right,
went
you
to
see
it, I got stuck on. I was stuck on it.
Yeah, you didn't want to.
I couldn't pull away from it.
Yeah, I don't want to pass over.
I couldn't pull away from it. And Scooter, guess what?
You cried.
This every single time,
Right.
just like I'm like on the edge of my seat, like not gushing, not weeping, but like fighting the tears back, man. Just like emotional.
Yeah.
I don't know what it, and I don't know. I watched Mike Eruzuione. They did that special on ABC at 2:00 on Sunday, I think it was, where they had Jim Craig, Mike Eruzuione, and Jack and who?
Mark Johnson.
And Mark Johnson, right? And they watched the replay, and it was I think all of them said it was the first time that they watched the whole movie together as well.
There's some people, and I just read a story in the Sports Tribune about Ryan Suter, who his father Bob Suter was on the 1980.
And he
team.
passed away.
And he passed away.
He had a heart attack.
And but he never watched the movie ever. Bob Suter never watched the movie, and his kid never saw it until probably later.
He can't even tell. He really
He
show anybody his
had
medal.
His gold medal sitting in the drawer, and it was amazing that one day Ryan was in class, and the
Crazy.
teacher said we're having show and tell, and she says, "Hey, why don't you bring your dad's medal?" And he didn't even really know what it meant. And then his father had to go find it, and then he brought it in for show and tell, and everybody was going nuts, and he was like, "What's the big deal?"
So great show lined up today. We're on Facebook Live today, Scooter. We have my intern in here, Timmy. He's videotaping. If you go to YouTube, the YouTube channel, or not you? Yeah, YouTube. We're on YouTube. I'm sorry. Go to YouTube. You can see us live. Check us out.
What's your YouTube, Bill?
Billy Schweim.
Thank you.
Just Billy Schweim. That's it. It's plain and simple.
How do you spell Schwein, by the way?
It's SCHWEIM, as in
Oh Jesus! What the heck is that? A chunky?
Now I might
okay?
quit the show. I think we've reached a
You
whole
should
new
have seen
level
both of
fan.
your faces
I just
just
threw it in there. Jesus.
That was priceless. I wish we could have taken a
Yeah.
snapshot of
You
that.
see it on
When
YouTube.
I just did that, both your eyebrows went up.
Yeah.
You both looked at me like I was nuts.
My eyebrows
You
were
are
stuck on the back of my head. Jesus. Oh boy.
And then Scooter, we're going to talk with Dr. Sean McMillan from Virtua. He's the head of sports medicine there. Talk to him about Joel Embiid's shoulder. to find a little bit about his
Hopefully,
shoulder,
right.
about a sprain. Yeah, just to see what he knows about it. He's involved with the.
Doc's got a busy day.
Yeah,
so
he's
we're
got a
gonna try
busy.
to
He's
squeeze him
doing.
in
What's
if
he doing?
can.
He's doing the White Sox.
Reds, I guess
the White Sox,
White Sox, yeah. They're
physicals or something.
physicals,
Yeah.
training.
All right, we're back here in the locker room with Billy Schweim, 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We are on Facebook Live today. Billy Schweim. Go to Billy Schweim on
But you're
Facebook.
on YouTube.
What are you on, YouTube or Facebook? Oh, we're on YouTube.
YouTube.
My
Billy,
bad.
what's the YouTube channel? What is your YouTube channel?
Billy Schweim, right? The locker room with Billy Schweim, yeah. I thought we were on Facebook.
You're on YouTube.
All right, we're on YouTube. I'll get it straight.
Oh,
The locker room with Billy Schweim, YouTube channel.
18 minutes into the show.
and you were worried about
I
me
thought-
being a little sluggish today.
I'm just excited.
Billy didn't sleep last night.
I didn't. It was like you eat the jitters
3
before
o'clock I went to bed.
That's why that hoodie he's wearing is inside out.
No, it's a sweater and it's fashion, man. It's the way you
That's
sound just like
inside
my
out.
you said no, it's not. You sound just like my daughter. She said, "Daddy, that's inside out."
Yeah, because
nice.
you don't
Well, you know what,
Fellas, it's called fashion.
Great minds think alike. Me and your daughter are geniuses, okay?
It's fashion. Look,
I-
see, you
I-
got the elbow patches, right?
There's no elbow patch there.
That's an elbow patch.
It's on the inside.
No, it's not. You guys, come on. All right, let's
All right, hold
keep.
on.
Let's focus,
I wanna
okay?
say something here.
God,
I want to give a shout out to our good friend,
Oh, yeah.
Lou Nolan.
Oh, whoa.
He's a friend of the show, and he's a great friend and a great guy. I'm watching the Flyers game last night, and I'm like thinking, I don't hear Lou's his voice. I said, then they got a power play, and then either the Pico power play comes on, and it's not Lou, and I'm like, what the heck? So I texted him, and he got back to me this morning, and he said, thanks, you're like the only one that must have been listening. He's having a little. He's not very. He's just having a little issue. He just went to the hospital to get checked out, but he's nothing. He's fine. But we want to give a shout out to Lou. Feel better.
Yeah, Lou.
You know, we miss you, and we'll get you back on. Hopefully, he'll be announced.
And speaking of the Flyers, Scooter, what a win last night.
Tremendous win.
Look, these guys, man. Look, and you and I drive down together, and I said to you, "Hey, weren't we wrong about this team?"
We were.
But I don't mind eating crow
Bring it
here,
on.
Scooter.
No, not at all.
I don't care.
No.
That was fun to watch,
I should have
man.
given up my tickets years ago.
Yeah. Because you're a
I
jinx.
must be.
You know what I liked about last night's game? Giroux
Finally.
led the team.
Finally.
Led the team.
Look like I'll tell you what, and I'll get back to what I said.
They got production from everybody, old and young alike. The new guys chipped in with their side. Another thing, Scooter, these two acquisitions by Chuck Fletcher.
Tremendous.
I wouldn't say no. Hunter said tremendous in a text. I wouldn't say tremendous. You would say tremendous?
Overperforming.
Well, they've only played one game.
What do you mean they only played one?
2 games. The guys have only played.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Niskanen and Hayes.
No, I'm talking about the new guys they picked up. Nate Thompson and
No, I wouldn't say tremendous.
No.
I'm sorry.
size-wise, tremendous. Those guys can bang, and in the playoffs, you need to lean on people.
Yeah.
Their size really helped them out last night.
They're good defensive forwards. They're good face-off guys. They're good on the PK. So those are 2 role players that you could really utilize during the playoffs, which looks like they're going to make. Which I didn't think they were, to tell you the truth. But
17 games over 500.
Scary.
Did you see this coming, Scooter?
I did not.
I mean, I remember we talk about it often.
Right.
We were very, very skeptical with some of the moves that Fletch made coming into the season. We said, well, why is he getting all these defensive guys? We have a lot of defense. We have a lot of youth. But he added Niskanen, who's experienced, who knows how to win. He knew. See, this is where the GM went further than just the ability on the ice. He knew what he was getting in Niskanen.
Well, he wasn't getting this big name in hockey that everybody always wants to get. That this guy, you got to get that guy. He's the top guy. He went and got guys that were solid and are great
Leaders,
locker room guys, leaders
right.
on the ice and off the ice. And Hayes has stepped up. I mean, when he got his contract at $7 million a year, everybody kind of went, ouch. But I'll tell you what, he's earning every penny of it. He protects the puck better than
The
most guys
Rangers
in the league.
started to get a little frisky last night. They started getting a little
I
chippy.
don't like losing.
No, they don't, and that's good. I mean, that's great to see that. But
Yeah.
the size of the Flyers now, kind of it was like they just swatted them away. Like they were like focused on hockey. They didn't get caught up. They were still physical, but they didn't take the bait. They just used their size and speed and their hockey smarts.
Well,
That was such a complete win last night for the Flyers. I'm enthusiastic about this team, Scooter.
I'll tell you, it's funny. Of course, I had to look at both sides. What I'm doing is I'm really enjoying the way they're playing. I think you've got to give Vino huge credit here because though his practices are shorter, they're super high intense, and these guys look like they're in great shape. Like third period, they weren't slowing down. They weren't giving the Rangers an up. Now they got a late cheap goal there at the end to make it 5-2, but the Flyers weren't slowing down. They were putting pressure on.
Well, you and I went to a couple practices. How hard was his practice? You're a coach.
Yeah.
You were even saying, "Wow, man, he's moving."
We saw Konechny come off the ice as a young kid.
Right,
Almost he could barely breathe.
He was almost throwing up.
Yeah, he was.
It was getting ready to look like he was going to get blow chow.
So some of these guys think they practice for 2 hours. No, they practice for 45 minutes, real hard, and get off the ice. Some guys stay on and do some extra stuff, but
they are temporarily past the Penguins. You know that, right?
Yeah, the Penguins lost last night.
Right.
So they're
one
they
point
still
ahead
have
of
one
them.
game in hand with 1 point
Right.
ahead of them. But I'll tell you what I don't want to say it scares me a little bit, but the Flyers' top 8 scorers on their team have only missed 4 games combined between all of them. They've been pretty healthy, other than a few dings here and there, for the most part. Coots, Giroux, Voracek, JVR, Hayes, Provorov, Sanheim have only missed 4 games between all of them.
That's great. That's great.
That's great. God forbid a couple of them get hurt.
And how about Voracek? I've been giving him a hard time. How about him last night? Tied a career high with 4 assists.
4 assists.
4 helpers.
And nice helpers.
And nice ones. For the first assist, not the second assist. How about he put that pass right on Giroux's tape and he just let it go.
Right.
That was a beautiful shot.
He's a crafty guy.
He's frustrating, but I'm gonna get off his back. I'm getting off Giroux's. I'm getting off Voracek's back, and I'm getting off Giroux's back because I think it's coming together, man. It's coming together.
It looks well, and then you've got a goaltender that you feel pretty confident in night out. That
How
either
about
one
this
of them,
kid?
He's 18-2-2 at home.
18-2, and that last goal was a shame last night. Are you kidding me?
That's just called a letdown at the last few minutes.
How you let that goalie down like that?
I don't know. I mean, if it was a shutout, it'd
Brutal.
be really bad. But it already.
He had. You know what? You know how goalies are like a little mental anyway.
Yeah.
I bet you he was pissed off.
He wasn't happy. And you can see Konechny break his stick over the crossbar.
Yeah.
I bet you he wasn't happy with that last night. That last goal going in.
The whole Metropolitan Division, every other team besides the Flyers are on a losing streak. Not big ones.
Giroux recorded his 26th multi-goal game of his career.
That's his first
Scooter,
one
see?
in about 3 months.
That's all right. It's coming at the right time.
Yeah.
It's coming at the right time, Scooter.
Yeah.
I'm pumped up,
Now,
man.
their next 6 games, and I did this a couple weeks back.
Ready for this stat? Just real quick.
Go ahead.
I got one more quick stat for
All
you,
right,
which
I
I think
know.
is very impressive.
Pete was right. You do run over.
Yeah, I'm gonna run over you too.
Yeah.
The Flyers improved to 18-0-1 in games where Kevin Hayes has scored a goal.
Yeah, I know.
Is that unbelievable?
And Kevin Hayes is not big about talking about himself. in the interviews.
He's got his own beer now, though. Did you see
Scooter,
that?
That's right.
You guys, think about that number, you guys. 18-0-1 when he scores a goal.
It's pretty good.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
What else you got, Scooter?
Right,
You're
the next 6 games: Rangers, Caps, Hurricanes, Sabres, Bruins, and Lightning. They've respectively they have 35, 39, 35, 29, 40, and 40 wins. Those teams right there. Now,
So
I said something
this is a
weeks
big-
ago.
you did.
Oh, big
You did.
stretch here.
You
I said
did.
weeks ago when they had a 10-game stretch with a lot of good teams, the Bruins and the Caps in there, and Lightning. I said, they could be 3-7 in this 10 game, and they came out. They were 5-4-1, so that they got out of that. But this is going to be a tough stretch to see the strength of this team.
Scooter, I want to eat crow this year. I want this. I can't wait for the Flyers to go in and win a couple, win a series.
Well, they're beating the good teams. You don't have to worry about going in as the 8th seed and then have to play the 1 seed because they're beating the 1 seed teams. So and they're right behind the
Josh,
Caps.
get a let's go Flyers. I want that in there. Let's get that going, man. I'm pumped up.
I just want to know what's going to happen when, for now, the 4th straight year, I'm right about something with the Flyers. After you told me I was going to be wrong.
Well, he did too. Scooter did too.
I told you the Flyers make the playoffs this year. The year before, I told you Konechny was going to be great, right?
See, you know why Konechny is having a great year, and I acknowledge him, especially when we went into that practice. Scooter and I, we interviewed him. I love Travis Konechny. He's got it. You know, there's some guys that got it. He hasn't. He's got that like Kenny Linsman, Bobby Clark type of attitude on the ice, which you need for him. But he's a sniper. He's a pure goal scorer. He's fun to watch.
He's feisty.
So Josh, you were right. We were wrong.
Feisty.
I love it. But I don't mind being wrong when it comes to this.
I just think it's funny that I'm not the hockey guy here, and I got a couple hockey things right. You get all excited. You're like, hey, I might know something. Yeah, nice.
Girl finds a nut once in a while.
Exactly. See,
All right,
I found a nut.
All right, Scooter, I don't know what to say about that because every time I watch it, hear it, I get all welled up, man. I get chills up and down my back.
Tough to listen to that without having some kind of emotion.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Voted the best sporting moment ever in the 20th century. And boy, was it. We have an intern in here who's never had, he's young, but he's going to know about it. So it's the 40th anniversary of the 1980 Olympic gold medal team, and I just am so happy and honored to have my guest on today, the captain of the 1980 gold medal team, Mike Eruzuione. What's up, Mike?
What's happening? How you doing?
I'll tell you what, Mike. I don't know how you control yourself because I watched you on ABC with your teammates Mark Johnson and Jim Craig. As you were watching the highlights and talking about it, how you not get all like I well up, I get all emotional. I don't know how you control yourself.
Well, I guess when you live it, it's easy just to sit back and enjoy it.
You know, Mike, in preparation for having you on today, it was amazing to see that what you did the night before the big game. I mean, you were like kicking back with your parents, drinking a couple beers, and then you went back to the Olympic Village, and with your roommates, you had a couple more beers, and you said your nerves were on end, you couldn't sleep. Walk us through that.
Well, I think you got a big game to play, but you can't try to make it too big. You can't get all wound up and nervous and not do what you normally would do. And, for me, it was fun to relax with my mom and dad and my high school football coach and my cousin and a bunch of guys in a Winnebago. Like you said, we had some food and a couple of beers and try to keep it as routine as possible, because if you just sat around your dorm, in our case, the trailer, you'd have been suicidal. So I think, I think you just got to kind of go out and relax and have some fun. It wasn't crazy. We weren't out till, all hours of the night. It was just a nice relaxing evening the night before a big game.
I was going to say, define a couple of beers.
Yeah, trust me, it wasn't many.
Right. Just enough to relax you.
Yeah,
right?
just enough to. Of course, this is a remarkable Cinderella story of a bunch of guys that were brought together by Herb Brooks. What were your impressions of Herb Brooks before you got to camp?
Well, I'd known a little bit about Herb, having played against him when I was in college, but there were a lot of Minnesota guys on the team, almost the whole team, and they had played under Herb. Herb had coached them, so they kind of feel the end. And Herb was really no different than my college hockey coach, Jack Parker. In those years, coaches were demanding and they challenged you, and that's how coaches coached in the 70s. My high school football coach, my high school baseball coach, they were the same type coaches. They were demanding, they pushed you, like I said, they challenged you, and they made you better players. And that's how it was.
We're talking with Mike Eruzuione, captain of the gold medal 1980 USA Olympic team. And Mike, talk a little bit about the rivalry between the guys from Boston, BU, and the guys from Minnesota. Was that tough to get along with those guys in the beginning?
No, the rivalry happened when we were in college. We had battles against University of Minnesota. Wisconsin players on our team battled the University of Minnesota, and that's just the way it was. You had rivalries. You had battles. We had them in the NCAA tournament. Wisconsin and Minnesota had battles all year playing against each other. But once the team was picked, once we were set, we put on a USA jersey. We didn't put a Boston University jersey on a Minnesota jersey or Wisconsin or Bowling Green or North Dakota, wherever the guys were from. And you represent your country. You put a USA jersey on, and we became a team right from the beginning. I think you learn that as a hockey player, how important your teammates are. And that was something we understood and realized. And even 40 years later, we still have that bond and friendship that we've always had.
That's outstanding. Mike, talk to us a little bit about the movie itself. How accurate is that? Does that really portray how things really were? Are you happy with the way that movie turned out, and how accurate is it with respect to how you guys were as teammates, how you guys responded to Herb Brooks?
I thought it was fairly accurate. I mean, there were a couple of Hollywood scenes here and there, but I tell people all the time that movie's really the Herb Brooks story, and we're a part of it. I think the HBO documentary is the one that I think is spectacular. Although, like I said, I did like the movie. Kurt Russell was amazing as Herb, although a lot friendlier. He was a little friendlier in the movie. But I think they captured what the moment was and what the moment meant, not only to us as a team, but to a country as well.
Hey, Mike, it's Scotty McKay here, too. I've been coaching ice hockey for 25 years, and as coaches, we always talk to our kids about the life lessons that they're gaining from all this stuff. It's obviously it's about hockey, but it's about really preparing them for the future in life. What do you think? And we're trying to ask some different questions that your typical get. What do you think is your greatest life lesson that you learned from either Herb Brooks or the experience of Miracle of that?
I just think that the ability to understand, if you want to be successful, you got to work hard. And it's to me, it's that simple. I hate to try to add this and this, but you got to come and you got to work hard. Whether it's you're a hockey player or the business that you work in. My dad always said, if you learn the value of work, you'll be successful. And I think I saw that under all of my coaches who challenged us and pushed us and made us work hard. And you usually are going to get pretty good success out of that. I think the other thing I learned was about trust and respect. You got to trust people. You got to respect people. As demanding as my coaches were, the two qualities that all of them had was trust and respect. We respected them and we trusted them. If you don't trust your coach, if you don't trust your friends, if you don't respect your coach, if you don't respect your friends, you're not going to be successful. And I think those are qualities that I think I learned along the way is values of hard work and trust and respect.
We're talking with Mike Eruzuione, captain of the 1980 gold medal hockey team that beat the Russians, the Soviet Union. For such that crowd, how big that stadium only held about 8,000 people, and to hear it seemed like there was like 30,000 people in that building that night.
Well, everybody I've met over 40 years has been at that game, so I think there were 100,000 in the stands.
Hey, Mike, every coach has a great, they say something I know. Like Fred Shiro said, you win tonight, you walk together forever for the 73-74 Flyers. And Herb Brooks said, you guys were born to be a player. You were meant to be here. This is your moment. Did that resonate with you? Or it was just as like a regular speech that you heard at the time?
Yeah, I don't know. You're so focused on the game and getting ready, but, obviously you got a little out of it at that time, but I think you got more out of it after. When I hear those words now, you can really put it into place. And Herb was right. I guess we were born to be players and we were meant to be there. And it was our moment because nobody else gave us a hope in hell of winning. So I think at the time, it was great words to send you out onto the ice to play a big game. But I think it resonated more with me after than it did right at the time.
Well, it's funny you say that, Mike, because I get texts from my kids 3 years after they leave, and they go, hey, I get what you meant now. And we were hoping they got it at the moment, but, sometimes it takes a little longer. But I'm thinking, it's a group of young guys. They've always talked about playing the Soviets, who were a group of men at that time. And I'm thinking you guys weren't really politically influenced in that part of that time of your life. And to you, it was probably, in my opinion, being a hockey player and a coach, it was more of a game for you. When did you realize finally what the life-changing impact this game had?
That win had on America.
Right.
I think when we got out after the Olympic Games, we knew people in Lake Placid were excited. We knew our family and friends were excited, but no clue that the world or the country was watching the way they were. And I think after we beat Finland, Monday morning, we went to the White House. President Carter sent Air Force One to pick up the Olympians.
No way.
And when we got to Washington, the streets were lined with people waving flags, holding up signs, and it was like, wow, this thing was a big deal. And then, then I got out into the country and started traveling and doing a variety of different things and found out that this thing was this thing was pretty big. And I guess now 40 years later, we still think this thing is pretty big. I know, it's not on the tip of people's tongues, and they're not talking about it every day. But when you have, celebrations like we had over the weekend, the 40th anniversary, and the joy that the Vegas Knights did a spectacular job of honoring our team, and the reaction from their fans and the crowd was spectacular. Again, it makes you realize that this was more than a hockey game for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons.
Absolutely. I got another little short, quick question here. Was there a reaction, and if it was, how happy was everybody when Tikhonov pulled Tretiak after the first period?
You know what? It was never really talked about. I always tell people, you take out Tretiak and you put in Michigan. Michigan was the goalie that played when the U.S. when the Soviets beat the NHL All-Stars 6-0.
6-0.
So that that's like taking out Marty Brodeur and putting in Patrick Roy.
Right.
But the thing with us was okay, so Tretiak's not playing. We were never concerned about what other teams were doing. Herb said it throughout the Olympic Games was play your game, play your game.
Play your game.
We couldn't worry about what other teams were doing. If we had a way we wanted to play and the way we were playing throughout the Olympic Games, so why change just because they changed their goaltender? The game went the way we needed it to go. It was a one-goal game throughout the game. If the Soviets scored 5 goals, we weren't scoring 6. I mean, we knew that. But the game, the way it was played, the fact that they scored 3, we could get 4. Maybe we could have got 5. But regardless of who they were playing, we needed to do the things that we needed to do in order to win.
We're talking with Mike Eruzuione, captain of the United States gold medal winning team against the Soviets in 1980. And, Mike, today's game, you see a lot of chirping, a lot of talking on the ice, in the NHL and whatnot. Was there that? I mean, obviously there's a language barrier, but was there a lot of chirping going on? And then what was the handshake like after the game was over?
Well, there was no discussions on the ice. There was no chirping. There was no talking. And the handshakes after, looked like some were in disbelief that they had lost. We were so excited and just you just went through the line shaking hands. I didn't really look at a lot of faces. I just wanted to get back in the locker room.
Well, Mike, I got to tell you, I worked at U.S. Airways for 24 years, and we had a hockey league. It was U.S. Air Philadelphia, U.S. Air Pittsburgh, U.S. Air Boston, and U.S. Air Buffalo. And I'll never forget, man, flying to Boston to play the U.S. Air team up there. We played at your rink in Winthrop. It was like a cold, coastal town, and when we walked in and we saw your name, I can't tell you what it did for our team. We're playing at the rink where Mike Eruzuione played. It was great, and I'll never forget it, Mike.
Well, that's funny because I tell a story. I have 5 grandkids now, and 3 of my grandsons, they're 7, 6, and 5, and they skate at the Mike Eruzuione rink. But they don't know who Mike Eruzuione is.
That's great.
Well, listen, Mike, man, I just got to say thank you so much for being on the program with us. I really am honored and humbled to talk with you, and just such great memories. And thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good day.
All right, Mike, you too.
There's Mike Eruzuione, captain of the gold medal team, and I'll tell you what, I'm just
tremendous.
It's just unbelievable
Tremendous.
to
I
hear.
could have talked to him for 3 hours.
Yeah, I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
Some of the stories that you could just. I would like to sit around and have a couple beers with a couple of the players and just.
He might be willing to have more than a couple.
Yeah. And just pick their brain.
Right.
All right. All right, we're back here in the locker room. Billy Schweim, Scotty McKay, Mike Eruzuione, baby.
I know.
Man, there's so much more we could ask him and talk. I wish we had like an hour.
Right.
Maybe I'll get him back. Exclusive. We'll do exclusive.
Yeah.
Like the whole show.
Yeah, we'll go up to Boston.
Maybe we'll go up do a live remote up there.
Do a live remote.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to our good buddy Will Araby. What's up, Will? You there, Will? All right, man. How was that? Mike Eruzuione, baby.
Oh, man, that's great. Hey, so the reason I'm calling in,
Wasn't even listening.
every year around President's Day weekend. It's one a fantastic town. The Olympic Village was like 40 years ago. I was fortunate enough to be there for the 30th anniversary when they relit the cauldron and they had a lot of the Olympians back in. But the story I want to tell you is one of the first years we went up there, we go up to 2 families, we rent a house, and coming back, and we see Miracle Ice is going to be on the TV. So we gather the kids, we have dinner, and we're going to watch Miracle on Ice. So we watch Miracle on Ice, and it's just one of those amazing, iconic moments in American history.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, great, we got to see it. The next night we come home and like, Miracle Ice are again. Is that all about? Come to realize they have a Miracle on Ice network.
And deservedly so, man, because every time I watch it, Will, I'm telling you, man, I told Mike, I get emotional, I get welled up, I get chills, I can't, every single time, I can watch it a million times, I get the same result, man.
Billy, I'm the same way, and when we were talking to PT, I was out last night having a cup full of sarsaparillas. I was really glad to hear that you had Mike Eruzuione on today.
Hey, Will, thanks for calling in, man. We really appreciate you listening to the program, and we'll talk soon. All right, Will Araby, Scooter, man. And we'll continue on the other side with it for a little bit. We want to talk Sixers. We want to talk a little Phillies baseball. Of course, we have Randy Lurch on the other side, former Phillies pitcher. He's going to talk about his career and his new book, God in the Bullpen, the Randy Lurch story. It's a story of redemption, Scooter.
Yeah.
We go from one story to another, but both are poignant in today's.
It's always good
they're
to see
relevant. Let's
how
put it that
sports
way.
can help you in certain ways.
Yeah, man.
But doesn't protect you from everything.
Sure doesn't. Matter of fact, expose you to a lot.
Yeah.
So first hour is in the books. Just cool. So cool to have him on.
Yeah. Great get. Your best get still to this day. No offense to Dick Vermeil.
You said you were my best get.
Well,
All right.
that's true.
We'll see you on the other side. It's the locker room with Billy Schweim. All right, we're back here in the locker room with Billy Schweim on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We're doing a YouTube channel today. Go on my YouTube channel, The Locker Room with Billy Schweim. You can see us live. We're on live, and we'll also I guess you'll be able to replay it. Of course, you got my website, The Locker Room Billy Schweim, my YouTube channel, and we have a podcast. So if you miss the Mike Eruzuione interview and anything else, you can check out those sites.
A lot of things going on,
man. Of course, a big lineup today. At coverage at 12 o'clock, the Cal Championship games. Tom Williams and George McNally will call the mainland Atlantic City game for the girls' championship. And then Mike Gill and Mike Frankel have Wildwood Catholic St. Augustine prep for the boys. Big day here on 97.3 ESPN. Scooter, always great. I mean, that was... we're going to talk more about it, about the interview. I wish we had more time.
Yeah, I wish we had him for like an hour. That'd be great. But, there's so many things you want to ask him. And for me as a coach, I learn stuff from people like Mike Eruzuione.
Right.
Because, like, what things that he said, I wish my players would understand that, you don't get these opportunities too often, and you got to take advantage of them. And, some of my guys get it, some of my guys don't get it. So.
All right, so Scooter, let's turn our attention real quick to the 76ers, because I went to the game on Thursday night.
You told me that.
I sat in the 6th row behind the players' bench. And you know what's amazing to me, and I've said this before several times, and I'm going to say it again, Scooter, the athleticism and the size of these guys.
Yeah, they're big.
I mean, I'm in the 6th row, and they're towering over me. Yeah. And just to be that close, to see how fluid and how effortlessly they move, and the shots with such just athleticism is the word I want to use, but just it's incredible.
I'll tell you a quick story. As kids, we grew up and our parents would take us to games, and then when I became old enough in my 20s and I had $100 put together, I got 2 tickets for my dad and I to go to a game, and he was like, "What? You got tickets?" And he was
to the Sixers.
To the Sixers game.
Okay.
And he was like, he's thinking we're sitting in, we're gonna have to bring tissues for our nose to, be bleeding all night long. So he's like thinking, well, my son's, this is a great moment for him. I'm gonna go no matter where we sit. And he used to get good seats in the lower low. My buddy had seats on the floor. It was called row B.
Okay.
It was right behind the first thing on the floor, and it was. One seat was on the right side of center court, and left seat was on the other side. right there. So we're walking down. He goes, "Oh, where are we going?" I go, "Down here, down here. Where are we going? Down here, down here." Go, where
You kept going.
Kept going all the way onto the floor. And my dad, who played basketball with Tommy Gola, who was one of the greatest basketball
LaSalle,
players
right?
ever played, LaSalle,
LaSalle.
but and the pros too,
Right.
And he goes, "Oh my God, look at the size of these guys."
Yeah,
because when you get down there and you're at their
like
level,
if you sit up, if you are
yeah,
sitting
they look
up,
like little kids down there.
yeah, it doesn't do it justice.
Right, and he was amazed by that, even though he, like I said, he grew up playing basketball with some pretty big guys.
I think my cousin Billy Armstrong took me to the game, and then of course we saw
Army.
Army, and we saw Hunter Brody. I got down, they let me walk down on the court side, and Dominic Mariani was there with our buddy Joe Simone. They were right underneath the basket. We're all hanging out right there, and then I saw Hunter. But just the amount of people, it's a lot of beautiful people there in the stands, and a lot of a lot of ex athletes are in there, and it's like a who's who.
Yeah, they're getting the crowds. They
All right,
really are.
the game itself, the Sixers, I mean, without their two big stars, albeit they beat a Knicks team that was 18 wins or 19 wins or whatever.
Right.
But what is it with the home record? Carter Hart with his home record, the Sixers with their home record.
I know.
What is it?
It's weird.
I've never seen anything like
I've
it.
never seen anything like it either. I mean, it's amazing how well they're playing at home. And do you attribute it to that the fans are there backing them? Or is it just a comfort?
What about the comfort of being in your home, sleeping in your own bed, right?
Yeah, I
Playing,
guess.
eating your own food, having your routine?
But why is it so...
Because when you get on the court, it doesn't matter where the court is.
No,
it doesn't matter who. Usually, you block the crowd noise out. Doesn't
No.
that shouldn't bother you on the road. What's the problem?
I don't know. Why isn't it like that every year? I mean, obviously there's home court advantage. You want to get that in basketball, no matter what you're doing.
All right, we're trying to get. We're going to try to talk with Dr. Sean McMillan. He's the chief of orthopedics and orthopedic sports medicine at Virtua at the Camden and Willingboro campus. I don't know if we're going to be able to get him on because he's conducting
Some
physicals today for the Sox, I think. But I wanted to talk to him about Joel Embiid's injury. He has a shoulder sprain, and supposedly there's no significant structural damage. But Scooter, we've been told several times by the Sixers organization when it comes to injuries, they're out a lot longer than they should be.
Right.
Look, Ben Simmons missed his whole first year. Joel Embiid was out for almost 2 years, right?
Well, I was pretty amazed that after Ben Simmons had missed the first year with that foot injury, which is a tough injury to recover from, obviously, when you're a basketball player. If you're a ping pong player, maybe not that bad. But, he came back and he hasn't been really injured since. He's played all this time, the last couple of years, without really having, feet injuries are terrible. I've had them. They're horrible because all your weight, you're jumping, you're landing on them, you're cutting on them. And I'm surprised he's played today. But, he's a little banged up.
We talked to Dr. McMillan before, but the size of these guys, you think they'd be more susceptible to injuries at their size.
Exactly. When they grow that quick when they're young, their bones aren't going the right way. So,
all right, let's go. We got the doc. Let's go to the sports hotline and welcome in to the locker room the chief of orthopedics and orthopedic sports medicine at Virtua at the Camden and Willingboro campus. Let's go to the phones and welcome in Dr. Sean McMillan. How you doing, Doc? I know you're busy. You're doing physicals today, so we'll make it quick. Doc, what's the prognosis on Joel Embiid, and can you explain to us what a shoulder sprain is and how difficult it is to return from that?
Yeah, so the good news is with a shoulder sprain, it's usually not a tear of the ligaments inside the joint. It's more of an irritation and a swelling of the tendons in the joint. And really, the treatment for him right now is shutting him down for about a week or so, letting the shoulder calm down, getting the swelling out, and then rehabbing, getting the strength back.
So Doc, I mean, is there any way that this could turn into longer than a 1 to 2 week thing? I mean, the Sixers have a propensity of not being able to get their players on the court.
Yeah, so that's a great point. I think this is one of those times where, even with Simmons out, you want to be cautious. If you treat this right and you let it sort of dissipate, he can bounce back from this. It maybe takes another couple days, an extra week, but it's something where if you treat it right, it's not going to bother him hopefully come playoff time.
Doc, if you were the doctor for the Sixers, would you recommend more rest? Obviously because of the play. I mean, the Sixers are in a tough position. They've only got so many games left. They got to get everybody on the court in preparation for the playoffs, but yet they don't want to push it.
Yeah, it is a tough spot. They're kind of locked into that sort of middle seed there. So you got to weigh the pros and cons of going forward, trying to get a home court advantage versus the safety as player for the playoffs. At this point, I think you're going to evaluate him. Give him a week to see how he responds. If he's showing some ill effects from it still, they're going to back it off and give a couple extra days because they got to take a long-term approach here, especially with Ben out, and we don't know when Ben's coming back.
And do you can you shed any light on Ben Simmons' injury for us?
Yeah, so it's for everything you read, it's a nerve irritation in his low back. And, if you watch that Bucks game, you saw the one play where he drove to the hole and went up, and he came down almost stiff when he landed, and that was sort of the end of it for him. So these are finicky, whereas with a shoulder sprain, we say the prognosis is great, but backs can rear right back up, especially a guy that big and lanky. So you're dealing with, again, right away, trying to get the swelling out of that nerve, trying to loosen his back up, trying to get some flexibility back. And this is something that's going to, it's going to be hit and miss the rest of the season probably.
We're talking with Dr. Sean McMullen of the Chief of Orthopedics and Orthopedic Sports Medicine for Virtua at the Camden and Willingboro campus. And, backs, and Scooter, I have to tell you, backs, is that something that, like the disc, is that something that over time or just pops out instantly? Like, is that something that, works on you over time, like irritated from like wear and tear, I guess, is what I'm looking for?
Yeah, and a young guy like him, it's probably more of an acute situation where it just sort of popped out and it's not much bothering him. The hope is that you can calm it down where it doesn't become something that flares up year by year. You think of so many of these guys that, once they've, ruined their back, they're never the same. It's something they're always, waiting for them to go on the GL or go on the IR list. So I think it's something they're going to be really cautious with him. He might have had an epidural or might be in line for an epidural, which will, again, a shot to sort of get the swelling out of that nerve if he doesn't respond to the conservative care that he started.
Doc, what do you think? I mean, your professional opinion, do you think we have a long-term problem with Ben Simmons, or is this something that can be rectified?
No, I think this is something that's going to be rectified. At least now, everything you read, it's irritation. It doesn't sound like it's going to be something, and they're going to be super cautious with him. Again, 6'10", in the position he plays, he needs that agility and that flexibility. So they're going to take the really long approach with him and shut him down as long as they need to.
All right, Dr. Sean, listen, man, we really appreciate it. I know you're busy today. Thank you for taking time out, and we'll talk to you next time.
Guys, be good.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, there's Dr. Sean McMillan, Chief of Orthopedics and Orthopedic Sports Medicine at Virtua at the Camden and Willingboro campus of Scooter. I mean,
The sad thing about it, and what I was going to throw in there at one point, but is that both these injuries are ones that just need time. They need rest.
we don't have time.
Well, they don't have time. That's the thing.
We don't have time.
If it was me or you, we could take a month off. But
a year.
When you're a pro sports athlete and
if
they
you're
want you back on the court,
Scooter, if you're working throwing luggage, you take a year.
yeah, you took like 5 years, and every Wednesday at around 7:00. So, there was always somebody throwing some extra bags for you. I'm surprised if they're on disability. So.
I want to thank Dr. Sean McMillan from the Virtua, head of Orthopedic Sports Medicine, for giving us a little insight on what's going on there. Of course, at the bottom of the hour, we'll be talking with former Phillies pitcher Randy Lurch, and I talked to him about his new book, God in the Bullpen, the Randy Lurch Story.
Yeah.
Today's coverage of high school basketball picks up at 12 noon. Tom Williams and George McNally have the call at the Mainline Atlantic City Girls Championship game, and then Mike Gill and Mike Frankel have Wildwood Catholic at St. Augustine Prep, the boys matchup at 5:30. It's number 7 Duke versus Virginia. And then at 8 o'clock, we have coverage of the NBA, the Houston Rockets and the Boston Celtics. Big day on ESPN.
Yeah,
here,
a lot of
Scooter.
stuff going on.
Scooter, man, the Flyers look like they're going to make the playoffs. The Sixers are going to get into the playoffs, but I'm not expecting or anticipating. I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't want to be negative. But when you're playing, when you're not gelling, and then seems like there might be some like internal strife. Like even now, Glenn Robinson, they just picked up.
I know.
He made a statement the other day saying that his role wasn't explained to him.
Wasn't defined.
And the coach says, no. We told him what his role is. Who do you believe, Scooter?
Well, I got to think they had a conversation about it when
What
he
the
came
heck,
here.
man?
Right. Well, you know what? I sort of remember this when they drafted him. He played for them early on in his
That's
career.
right, but
and I sort of remember some rift there. I wonder if that's why he got let go. He's just one of these guys. Well, you know what your role is? Sit over there. How's that sound? If you want to know what it is, until I tell you to get up and come and play.
I mean, listen. I don't get it. So then, not only do the Sixers have been having problems with maturity issues and with guys there's not enough room for this guy on the court with this guy on the court, then they have to deal with these injuries. I don't know if it might be a big mountain to climb.
Well, I'm sure
To expect this team to win in a first round.
Well, you better get some home court advantage, that's for sure, because that's the only place they're really good at.
As it looks right now, they ain't going to get it.
I don't think they will.
I mean, they didn't lose any ground because, I mean, the Heat, they're not lighting it on fire. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
And they're healthy. So
Sixers are 6-4, but look who they've been playing.
Right. And look who they haven't had. So
right.
You're missing your best two players. It's not easy to do it. The good thing is, and I don't know if I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, this stretch of games they have at the end of the season is the second easiest schedule of any team in the league. Thank God.
Thank God, right?
Right. So, but hopefully, maybe this rest will do Joel Embiid good, and also Ben Simmons a little bit of good, and they come back, healthier and not tired for the playoffs.
You like Ben Simmons? You're a Ben Simmons guy, right? Hunter Brody, we kid with him. He's like the CEO of the Ben Simmons fan club.
Right. I have become a bigger fan of Ben right before he got hurt.
Yeah, defensively, he's incredible.
Defensively, he's great.
Right.
And he just controls the court. And I don't think he's utilized in the best ways for him.
How does Brett Brown not get it right? How does Brett Brown not be able to communicate? I know it's a players' league. I understand. I get it. But at the end of the day, he's the coach.
Right. Well, are they really coaching in the NBA? Or is it the players running the show?
Well, you see when they go – look, I was 6 rows behind the bench. He has a board out. He's drawing up plays on the board.
We have boards we draw on, too, for our kids. And they're looking over there, But,
And professionals, they've probably seen it all before. They know what to do.
Yeah.
They're men.
But you need to – listen, they can't even make an inbounds pass. So something's wrong there. I believe, they can't even get the ball in bounds sometimes because they don't have a set play to do stuff. But in my opinion, if you're going to have Joel Embiid sitting up top, where he is a lot, I post up Ben Simmons down low because most of the guys are 6'4", 6'5" that are covering him, and he's 6'10", and they can't stop him down low. So do that until it changes. If he's not going to shoot the ball from outside, might as well post him up down low.
So after talking to the doc, it looks like we're going to get Embiid back before Ben Simmons. And I'm not even, I got to be honest with you. I'm skeptical about the rest of the season for Ben.
I think he'll be back. I just think it needs some rest. Backs are
tough, man.
They're a pain in the back.
Well, I know because I had surgery on my neck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I had 5 herniated discs.
Backs control everything, though. And backs, listen, foot problems, you start compensating and, your right foot's bothering you, so you start leaning to your left,
right.
And all of a sudden your back's kind of out of whack a little bit. So they can be really fussy and a pain in the neck to get rid of. But he's an athlete, he's strong, he's young. I think he'll be fine. It's a good therapy.
And funny thing is, I know the Knicks stink, but the Sixers increased their NBA best record at home to 28-2 at home. And the crowd really on Thursday night wasn't I wouldn't say that it didn't give them an advantage. It was there was matter of fact, there was a lot of Knicks fans in the stands.
Wow. How do you have Knicks fans?
I know,
didn't
right?
know there was Knicks fans in New York.
Yeah, there are.
Let alone being in Philadelphia.
Well, it's a place. When you go to the Garden, it's the mecca of basketball, right?
The
Madison Square Garden.
Good.
No, and they haven't been good for a long, long time.
Yeah. I heard a stat.
But people, I talked to a guy he was all nicked up. He had his Knicks hat on. He had his Knicks sweatsuit on, and we were up at the Cadillac area.
Was the movie producer there? What's his name?
The Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
No.
Yeah. No, he wasn't.
And guy said he's a season ticket holder here at the Wells Fargo Center. I said, but you're a Knicks fan. He loves basketball,
obviously.
But he's a big Knicks fan. I'm like, why are you a Knicks fan?
Well, maybe he loves basketball and he just likes the Knicks.
He does.
But he lives here.
Guy likes basketball.
Yeah, he wants to see basketball. So.
By the way, did you see that? So I'm at the game. I just observe a bunch of things, and they have waitresses that are working.
Yeah, and you observed the waitresses.
Well, I sure did.
Yeah.
They have some very, very attractive waitresses down on them, but they get right near the action. Did you see that one waitress that got clipped by the referee? She spilled all the drinks all over the floor.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, but it's like a who's who down low. There's Darwin Walker, former Eagle. There were a lot of people in the stands. I did speak with I met one of the waitresses, Natalie. She said that she sees all kind of celebrities down there.
Yeah,
I had to get her on the show one day.
You should.
And talk. She has
Probably got some good stories.
She probably
Like
does.
a bartender.
She probably, yeah, right. Yeah, bartenders have stories.
Well, come playoff time, you'll see a lot of Will Smith and Kevin.
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart,
will be
yeah,
down
yeah.
there, you know,
Meek Mill.
Right. I
But there's all
a celebrity.
But I know. But there's all kind of, it's a who's who. Those seats are like $3,000.
That's crazy.
Down on the floor.
I've got a friend that I used to do business with.
Grimesy goes
in
there.
the mortgage business. It sits right on the floor next to like the Sixers.
That's where Mark Grimes sits.
Does he? Jesus, I never saw it in his.
No, I've seen. No,
I guess they're.
No,
in
he's
the
gonna. I'm gonna have to ask Grimesy to take me one of those
put 'em in
games.
the mail.
No, I'm not. I'm happy with the 6th row. I was right there,
great.
man.
Yeah.
Army's got great seats. Tobias Harris.
Stepping up.
I mean, 34 points the other night.
Stepping up.
Quiet though. It wasn't like.
He's not that flashy guy. He drives a lane, he pulls up, he takes a 10-foot jumper, and he makes them a lot. But he's strong on the boards, and he goes to the hoop pretty well. I like Tobias Harris. Is he worth?
You like Shake Milton? You like Shake?
I'm not
11 points the
sold
other
on
night.
Shake yet.
You're not sold on Shake?
No.
He scored 64 points in the last 4 games. I'm gonna turn it on a little
That's
bit.
not bad.
No.
It's not bad. The problem is, Furkan Korkmaz came out, scores 30-something points 2 games in a row, and you don't see him playing
He
anymore.
falls
Where'd
off the
he go?
red. What happened?
What happened?
Well, maybe they're keying on him. He missed a couple jump shots.
And that happens.
Right in front of me.
But I mean, he was lighting the lamp for 2 games in a row, and now he's nowhere to be found. Now Shake Milton is your big point guard, and you take it over for Ben until he gets back.
I want to remind people you can check out our show on YouTube, the YouTube channel, The Locker Room with Billy Schweim. You can check out my website, The Locker Room Billy Schweim. And of course, the website, I write a blog. You check the blog out. Facebook, we're all over the place. The Locker Room with Billy Schweim. And the Mike Eruzuione interview will be up. Check it out. We're baseball fans. We're baseball guys.
Sure.
And I remember my next guest. I'll never forget. He's big, tall guy. Had a big fastball. And
lefty.
But he wore those powder blue uniforms. I always remember those
was
powder
quick.
blues.
They were classics.
But I'm really excited to have my next guest on. Let's go to the sports hotline and welcome into the locker room former Philly pitcher Randy Lurch. What's up, Randy?
Not much, Billy. Sitting over here in California, man. I'm 3 hours early. It's way too early to get up for me.
Sorry, man. I told you. I said, we were on from 10 to 12 East Coast time. I hope it didn't cut into your beauty rest.
I needed it, but no, I'm happy to be on the show, my friend.
Hey, Randy, it's good to talk to you. We got together and we spoke a little bit on the phone earlier this week, and we'll get into your book and of course of your life story. But I want to start off with your high school career because I was amazed at some of the things that you did in high school. You were just inducted to the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, and I watched the piece where they talked about your career. And in high school, you went 38-1, and you threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in high school, and you hit home runs to boot.
Wow, how come I didn't take that to the big leagues with me?
Well, you did. We'll get to that. You did.
But no, it was a great honor, and on top of it, my presenter was Dusty Baker, and he was doing the interviews for for the Houston Astros after the big scandal. And when I got up there, I said, Dusty, you're liable to have to leave early because the Astros are going to be calling to give you that job. And lo and behold, the next morning I got up and it said in the paper that Dusty had been hired. I said, wow, I'm a genius here.
How about that? Yeah, right. And then, of course, you go into the minor leagues, where I was amazed to see that you, in 3 years in the minors, you hit over 310 as a pitcher. That's unusual.
I love to hit, Billy. Actually, when I was signed by the Phillies, the scout Eddie Bachman, I was a high school All-America hitter. I actually loved to hit better than pitch. I just loved it. And I said, okay, what am I now? Am I a hitter or am I a pitcher? And he says, well, the Phillies need left-handed pitching, so you start out as a pitcher, and then if that doesn't work out, we'll make you a hitter. So I ended up being a pitcher.
Randy, then you go to the Phillies and talk about a staff. I mean, you start pitching on the staff with Steve Carlton, Jim Cott, Larry Christensen. I mean, you had to learn a lot from those guys.
I did, and I learned a lot. It was kind of intimidating because when I came up, I was 20 years old with the Phillies, and when I came up, I was with the guys. A lot of guys have been around a long time and established. I think Lefty Carlton had already won 2 Cy Young awards, and then with Jim Cobb and then Jim Lomborg, who had been there, Ron Reed. So the Phillies were pretty much established, and I just needed to show them that my worthiness to join them there.
Now, Randy, were they accepting of you? I mean, were they good teachers and mentors? I mean, did you learn a lot from those guys?
I did. I learned a lot about just staying to myself and making sure I had the good work ethic, that I did my job and got ready for each start. I think that was the main thing is they taught me professionalism, because these guys they were total professional in every way.
A couple highlights. We're talking with Randy Lerch, former Phillies pitcher, and a couple highlights we'll never forget. I'll never forget it because I watched that game in 1970. I guess it was 79. You played that game against the Cubs where I think 35 runs were scored. I think you hit a home run in that game. It was one of the second highest scoring game in the history of baseball.
Well, I know we'll talk about the book later, but I talk about that in my book because it was an amazing thing. I had lost like 1-0, 2-1 in New York the start before, and I was complaining about it, not getting any runs. And it turns out that Greg Luzinski he was on the injured list or whatever in Philadelphia. He read all the papers. He told Larry Boa that I was complaining about them not scoring me any runs. And so after we scored 7 runs in the first inning of that game, and I hit a home run, as I was walking to the mound, Larry Boa said to me, he says, "Well, is that enough runs for you now?"
and it wasn't.
But you weren't pitching.
Yeah, and I said, blankety, blankety, blank, right. And I proceeded to go out and give up 6 and not make it through the first inning.
I'll never forget that game. I think the wind was blowing out at like 20 miles per hour. It was a cold day, right? It was a pretty cold day. Chilly. It was in April, I think, right?
It was a cold day, and in Chicago, it's amazing. If the wind's blowing out like it was that day, a routine fly ball to left field is gone, and they'll go ahead and the hitter hits the ball, and you say, okay, right, I got another out. It keeps going and going, right out there right into my favorite people in the stands out there.
All right, Randy, let's turn our attention to your book that you just wrote, God in the Bullpen, the Randy Lerch story. You've had some type of career. You've had to overcome battle with addiction, alcoholism, and you getting a second chance in life. Talk to us a little bit about your impetus about writing the book, but talk about how sports has actually saved your life too.
Well, it's a great question, Billy. Thank you. Yes, after I left sports, I got in a bad habit of taking greenies and drinking when I was pitching, and then the habit just snowballed after I retired, and I started drinking heavier and heavier to the point I ended up getting cirrhosis of the liver. And the doctor had basically told me you need to be on a liver transplant list, and you could go into liver failure at any time. And so I was a walking dead man. And after a year and a half, and God giving me a chance to come around and start feeling better, I wanted to write a book about it to make sure that anyone that was going through that kind of thing that I was, that they realized the hazards of drinking and drugs and stuff like that. So it inspired me to write this book, and it's gotten great reviews, Billy.
How do people get the book, Randy?
Yeah, where can you get it?
You can get it on Amazon, Google Books, or Barnes and Noble, and just go to that website and it's right there. And I think, like I said, the reviews have been great, and I think the people in New Jersey and the South Jersey area really enjoy it.
Hey, Randy, it's Scott McKay here. What percentage do you think of baseball or sports itself, Major League Sports, played a part in your addiction? Do you think it was something that, because you were around it and people were doing it, that kind of forced you into it? Maybe some people that you looked up to that maybe had been doing stuff. Do you think that was part of it?
That's a great question. The way it happened was I had a pitcher that was established that came to me and said, after I was 5-2 in the major leagues, my rookie season, said, well, you're 5-2, but you're not going to be consistent through the long haul unless you start taking these greenies. And I started taking them and then realized I couldn't sleep. And after taking them, so I would start drinking alcohol to sleep, and it just snowballed. And it definitely was looking up to the people that were the veterans on the team or a veteran. And I started doing that, and it just snowballed. Because when I was in high school, I was goody two shoes. Even when the older high school kids and stuff like that wanted to go out and drink, I didn't want to do that, and I didn't do it in the minor leagues. I was actually minor league pitcher of the year in the minor leagues, and had a great career there. And then I got in some real bad habits in the major leagues, and those habits they snowballed onto my retired life, and it almost killed me. And
wow.
Thank God to His mercy, I ended up having a second chance to write this book. I'm so grateful.
Well, we're pulling for you big time, but what I think people don't understand sometimes is they look at pro athletes like they're invincible. And I think sometimes pro athletes feel they're invincible. But you debuted at 20 years of age, which is,
in baseball back then.
That's unbelievable. And like a guy like Chase Utley didn't make it to the big leagues until he was 25, and didn't really get playing a lot till he was 26. You're still a kid. You're 2 years removed from high school. You're impressionable. You're looking up to these guys that have been established, and you're hoping they're going to put you in the right direction. And all of a sudden, you fall towards something like that, and then somebody throws money at you too, and you've got that on top of it, and you're not even old enough to drink now today.
Right,
You're not
right.
even.
Back then he was.
Isn't that amazing? Well, for sure, I thought at 20 years old I was ready for the big leagues, right?
Right. The different kind of big league.
I was ready, but looking back on it, I have a grandson that's 16 years old. Only 4 years younger than I was when I was. When I first pitched in the major leagues, and I look at him, I go, holy cow! In 4 years, he's going to be pitching against major league hitters if he was me. Wow, that's
right.
We're talking with Randy Lerch, former Phillies pitcher. Just got a book out, God in the Bullpen, the Randy Lerch story, and get it on Amazon. Hey, Randy, was drug use rampant back then in the 70s?
I think the greenies were. We didn't even know what steroids were. I think when you're playing at that level, you look in any way you can to get an advantage, and through that long haul, it really runs you down. Especially the players that are playing every day. 162 games is an amazing feat, and then of course when the dog days of summer come and you play a day game or a night game, I should say, and then come back and play a day game. A lot of times the guys are looking for some kind of a way to find some extra energy, and that's what we did in those days.
Well, listen, Randy, I know you told me you're going to be coming back east. When are you coming back to you're going to be coming to the Phillies or invited you back into town?
Yeah, the 40-year World Series reunion is going to be in August. I believe the first part of August. It'll be the 40-year reunion. We've lost some of the guys, with Alice and Tug and some of the other guys being gone. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be a great time. And also, Billy, I wanted to plug my podcast. I got a podcast now that you're probably going to ask me, but well, I was just thinking about it. It's called God's Miracle. Just look up Randy Lurch, God's Miracle, on the Comfortably Zone radio podcast, and I think my friends in New Jersey would enjoy it. We've got an array of different people on.
Well, Randy, listen, man, I really appreciate you waking up early on the West Coast and spending some time with us. And when you come into town, I'll make sure I get in touch with you, and we'll get together and say hi, have a little laughs.
I really enjoy it. It's I'm having flashbacks of when you mentioned Wildwood on commercials. Hey, Billy, I just want you, before we get off, I want you to know your book's in the mail, man.
Great. Thank you so much, Randy. We got to run. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You guys
God bless, Randy.
There's Randy Lurch, former Phillies pitcher. And, boy, I'll tell you what, Scooter, baseball players have a lot of time, man. Have a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
Get them, so you can get in trouble so easily. You know what I'm saying?
You hope sometimes that sports will protect you from that.
It
But
doesn't. Matter of fact, it exposes you to so
probably
much.
exposes you to more
You know,
than
we had
you really
friends that
want.
played in professional
Yeah.
sports.
Great to have Randy on, and good luck with the book.
All right, we're back here in the locker room. Woo! What a great show today, Scooter.
Great show.
Come on, man. Come on, kid.
Two great guests.
I hope
Randy
Randy
Lurch.
Lurch.
Yeah.
You know, he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read that book. I'll do a book report for you.
There you go.
And who knows when he comes back in
Cliff notes.
Mike Eruzuione was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was great. You know, there was a couple of things I still wanted to fit. I would have liked to have asked Mike, you know, after that huge emotional game of beating the Soviets. I mean, like, which nobody could beat. They beat the NHL team. They were beating the All-Star NHL
They smoked
All-Star
them
teams
10-3 the week
with their
before.
backup goalie. You know, and they turn around. How do you then? I think some people still believe that was the gold medal game.
They do. It wasn't.
They had to play Finland after that. How do you carry that emotion overboard with it, or are you so exhausted from that win? Because, you know, it's funny, Al Michaels, when you watch some of the movies that have been playing recently, he didn't know Tretiak at the time and didn't get the chance to interview him. But years later, he interviewed him. He said, "You guys were standing there with your chins on your sticks,
What were you
and
thinking?
you were watching those guys run around like nuts, like crazy." He goes, "What were you thinking?" And Tretiak said, "You know, the guys looked like they were the happiest guys in the world.
I saw.
We wish we were them.
We wish we were them."
And you know, it's crazy. You know, it's just
Scooter, did I see you get a little emotional when we pulled him up today?
I
Mike Eruzuione?
get a little
emotional.
You know, I have to make speeches. At
I didn't think
hockey
you had
banquets,
emotion. I didn't think you had emotion.
I try not to, but I
I did. I did. I
Extreme
mean,
Home Makeover. I get emotional at when they show in the house. You know, it's like that tears me up. You know,
So let's thank Mike Eruzuione for calling in. Randy Lurch, Dr. Sean McMillan from Virtuos, head of sports medicine. Great show today, Scooter. And
Good
we'll try to get Mike back and maybe
class
spend more
guy.
time with him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it ever gets old talking about it.
That's going to live.
And how about Randy Lurch? It's 40 years since
40 years reunion with the
1980
Phillies this
team. How about that? So we had 2 anniversaries today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
Philly, we didn't really get to talk about Phillies baseball, but we will. Thanks for making the locker room part of your Saturday, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with the Schweiner. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Thank you, Scooter, for coming in. Did a great job. Stay tuned for high school basketball next here on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, I want to give a little shout out to the Cherokee Chiefs and good luck in their championship game on Monday.
This is Middays with Eitan Shander.